Today we'll do an inheritance review on Java. Inheritance is the function of deriving a new class from an old class. One function of inheritance is to reuse pre-existing software. Inheritance forms and is a relationship between the superclass and the subclasses. Protected visibility gives the greatest possible encapsulation, which allows inheritance. A superclass constructor can be invoked using the super reference. A subclass can override or redefine the superclass's definition of an inherited method. The subclass of one class can be the superclass of one or more classes, developing into an inheritance hierarchy. Similar traits should be placed as high in the class hierarchy as manageable. All Java classes are derived immediately or indirectly from the object class. The toString and equals method are inherited by all classes in all Java programs. An abstract class can be instantiated, which means it can't be used to create an object. Abstract classes symbolize a concept in which other classes can form their definitions. A class derived from an abstract parent requires overriding of all its parent's abstract methods, or the derived class will be reasoned abstract. Private class members are inherited by the child class but can be called by name, but can be utilized indirectly. A software system requires proper and certain addressing of inheritance. The final modifier can be utilized to prevent inheritance. The classes that define nodes of a JavaFX scene are categorized, forming a class hierarchy. Abstract class. A class used to symbolize a generic concept in a class hierarchy. An abstract class can be instantiated. Abstract method. A method header leaving out a body, utilized to form the preexistence of a function before the implementation is accessible. A class that includes an abstract method is thus abstract. Base class is a class that another class is derived from, also called a parent class or a superclass. Child class, a class that is derived from a parent class, also called a subclass. Class hierarchy, the hierarchy created from inheritance between multiple classes. Inheritance, the operation of deriving a class from a pre-existing class. Is a relationship, the relationship amongst two classes affiliated by inheritance. The child class is a greater particular version of the parent class. Multiple inheritance is an inheritance relation where a child class can be derived from many parent classes. Multiple inheritance is unsupported in Java. Overriding. Overriding redefines a method that has been acquired from a superclass. Parent class, a class from which another is derived from, also called a superclass or a base class. Shadow variable, an instance variable declared in a derived class which has the equal name as a variable in the superclass. Subclass, a class derived from a parent, also called a child class. Superclass, a class from which another inherits from, also referred to as a parent class or base class. Summarize the relationship between a superclass and a subclass. A base class is derived from a superclass utilizing inheritance. The methods and variables of the superclass automatically become a component of the child class, which follow the rules of visibility modifiers utilized to declare them. How does inheritance influence software reuse? Because a new class can be derived from a pre-existing class, the traits of the parent class can be reutilized without the error system of copying and changing source code. What relation should every class derivation represent? Every inheritance derivation should symbolize and is a relationship. The subclass is a greater particular version of the superclass. If this relation cannot suffice, then inheritance is not being used properly. What does the protected visibility modifier do? The protected visibility modifier forms a visibility level such as public and private, which utilizes inheritance. A variable or method defined with protected visibility can be referred to by name in the derived class whilst keeping some level of encapsulation. Protected visibility permits for access from any class in the same package. Why is the superclass superreference crucial to a child class? The superreference can be utilized to invoke the superclass's constructor, which can be directly called by name. It can also be utilized to invoke the parent's version of an overridden method or access the parent's variables. Explain the difference between single inheritance and multiple inheritance. With single inheritance, a class is only derived from a single parent, which differs from multiple inheritance, where a class can be derived from many parents, inheriting the properties of each. The issue that multiple inheritance causes is that accidents must be resolved in the situations when two or more parents contribute to an attribute or method with the same name defined. Java supports only single inheritance. Why would a child class want to override one or more methods of its superclass? A subclass may prefer its own definition of a method in favor of the definition included by its superclass. In this situation, the child overrides or redefines the parent's definition with its own. What is the importance of the object class? All classes in Java are derived immediately or indirectly from the object class. Therefore, all public methods of the object class, such as the equals and toString method, are available to every object. What is the importance of an abstract class? An abstract class is a symbolization of a generic or abstract concept. Similar traits and method signatures can be defined in an abstract class so that they are acquired by subclasses derived from it. Are all members of a superclass inherited by the child class? Explain. A child member is not inherited if it has private visibility, meaning that it cannot be referred to by name in the child class, but such members do exist in memory for the subclass and can be referenced indirectly. How can the final modifier be used as a restriction for inheritance? The final modifier can be utilized on a particular method, which restricts that method from being overridden in a subclass. It can also be utilized on an entire class, which does not allow that class to be extended at all.